from LPI Studios in Memphis, Tennessee, it's R&R on Sports with Uncle Howard Robertson.
Everybody that is in a leadership position is not necessarily a leader.
Jenny on the block, Jennifer Conroy.
It's a standoff now between Phil Jackson and Carmelo Anthony. And so I think they've put out there that he's being shopped.
And the magnificent, tremendous, undeniable, undisputed, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, Larry Robinson.
Nerlens Noel going to Dallas from the 76ers. He was asking to get out of there. They really got a log jam in the front court.
It's R&R on Sports.
Hello and welcome to R&R on Sports. I'm Uncle Howard.
And I'm Jennifer Conroy.
And I am the bracket-busted, terrible person that ever had a bracket for the NCAA, Larry Robinson. Okay. What's up, y'all?
Right, say your name.
Well, I am Larry Robinson.
What Beyonce said, say my name. Say your name, man, and be done with it.
Jen, you say my name.
Larry Robinson.
So, what's busted? Your bracket?
Man, listen.
Bracket got busted.
Wait a minute, hold on. There's never been a time that I can remember that I didn't get not one team
in the Final Four?
Not one team.
Howard did. I
did, and she did, but you didn't.
I did.
You didn't because of loyalty.
Well, no, I had Kansas.
I had
Kansas.
I got two.
No, you had Kentucky, too.
I had Kentucky. I had Louisville. I didn't have Louisville.
No, you went with Kentucky because Louisville was busted.
My Final Four was, I can't even remember who my Final Four was.
But Kentucky was definitely in there for you.
Arizona, I had Arizona because I thought Arizona would beat Gonzaga.
Another
bye.
Oh, man,
it's one of the toughest defenses out there.
I mean, how did Oregon do it?
Oregon is a Nike team. They were coming.
Yeah.
At some point, they were coming.
But they lost their number one player, and then this guy comes out of the blue.
They still look like grown men, though.
Man, they do, don't they?
Yes,
I don't know if it's the green uniforms. I don't know if it's the Ducky mascot. I don't know what it is.
But UNC are grown men, too. They are big.
They are big.
Yeah, they some big boys, man.
Yeah. So SC, NC, South Carolina, North Carolina, Oregon, and Gonzaga. We got East Coast, West Coast, baby.
There you go. But I love Frank Martin, man. I do. I think he is great for college basketball.
I agree.
I mean, his energy, his personality, the histrionics that he goes on the sidelines. I mean, you don't typically see a man that big just acting a damn fool.
Right. No. It's going to be good. Good.
I think so.
So who are you guys saying? Who's coming out?
I'm going with South Carolina.
South Carolina national champion? That's what I'm talking about. That was the question.
Yeah.
Is that your answer?
Yes, that's my answer. I'm going with South Carolina.
Still tripping.
Nationally.
Still tripping. What are you saying, JC?
You know, it's a toss-up for me because UNC has been, they've been a powerhouse. I'd like to see Gonzaga put up a good fight, but the Ducks, I'm digging on the Ducks.
You digging on the Ducks?
I'm digging on the Ducks a little bit. But I'm gonna say North Carolina's gonna take it.
Okay.
And what you got?
So I'm saying it's gonna be Gonzaga, North Carolina in the final.
Who you got to win?
I got Gonzaga. I've had them.
You've had them. You've had
Gonzaga.
Yeah.
You've had their backs for sure.
So I can't back off now.
Best defense in the country right now, though.
Yeah.
But you're talking about some old,
you still got to score though.
College players.
Yeah.
Gonzaga got some senior citizens on that team.
How'd you like? Speaking of Kentucky, what about the reaction after the game?
Oh, the crying.
It was. Did somebody die? Yeah. Did I miss something?
But they got death threats to the referee.
Kids.
Yeah, they did.
They got what?
They're making death threats to the referee.
That's the thing, though. These are when you boil it down, these are kids, and there's emotion, and especially with a one and done program.
Awesome. But that lets me know that they are kids.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, the way De'Aaron Fox and Bam Adebayo were really.
And De'Aaron Fox balled out.
Yeah,
they were in
balling.
Absolute pain. And I think De'Aaron Fox did not play his best game. Very similar to Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
But I think there's some other things going on with the Ball.
Yeah, and when we come back, we want to talk about that and how you think he did in the game against Kentucky. So we'll be back with more R&R. Don't move.
Hi, I'm Allan Houston of the New York Knicks and founder of Fizzle, and you are listening to R&R on Sports.
Everything I would do, you were standing there by my side, and now you gonna be with me for the last ride.
And we are back with What Matters Most. So, what matters most we started talking about the NCAA.
We did.
And we were talking about the presence or lack thereof of young Ball.
Yeah, Lonzo
Ball with UCLA. Let's talk about performance first. And let's talk about whether or not you think his daddy put too much out there, put too much pressure on him.
Well, I don't think let's
too much hype.
Hold on that piece, but I think when we're talking about what matters most, I really think we should look at the fact that he wasn't there, and you start asking the question of why? Lavar Ball wasn't there,
right?
And come to find out that there's something going on with mom at home.
Yep.
And the dynamic between them, which was really interesting to me, seeing them on Undisputed with Skip and what's the gentleman? Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
Was that he said that, he told the boys, look, we told Lonzo in particular, look, you go ahead and do what you got to do.
Yep.
I got mom. That's my girl.
Yep.
So I got her. And to me, that said a lot about who he is.
And he has sons in high school too.
Yes. And that was a part of it. They wanted to stay behind to tend to the mother.
Do you think that Lonzo was distracted?
I think
by what might have been going on with his mom?
Absolutely.
As an 18, 19-year-old, I can't see how he wasn't.
Because it's a serious health crisis. It's not like she has the flu or something little. She has had a major health crisis that is life-altering.
Okay.
And that combined with the pressure of being in the tournament and the expectation, it's a 19-year-old kid. That's huge.
I think overall,
him really being the young as he is, and I know we don't look at these guys as young kids.
They're kids.
But he is a kid, and to think about, his whole family is back in Los Angeles tending to his mom. And
it's a heavy burden.
It's a very heavy burden.
Especially because both of the parents are in the house. Both of the parents, they're still married. They are an intense, cohesive unit that does things like they play family ball together, where everybody from the youngest to mom to dad, they're all playing together.
I love that, man.
That's a beautiful thing.
I don't think enough attention has been paid on the fact that, here this man who's the patriarch of the family, and he's really, he's leading the family mentally, physically.
It's a nuclear family, too.
It's a beautiful thing. And I just think that they deserve I think he deserves a lot of recognition for what he's doing and what he's representing.
For as much pressure as he's putting on the kids, he's also taking it off and saying, hey, I got mom, I got it taken care of. I'm going to support you and I'm going to love you. But for Lonzo Ball to actually step on the court and play is a testament to not only his character, but his courage.
And that's what matters most. We'll be back with more R&R right after this.
Hi, I'm Allan Houston of the New York Knicks and founder of Fizzle, and you are listening to R&R on Sports.
See, I wouldn't change my life just by.
And we are back with more R&R on Sports. And before we go further, JC, you had something else to say.
I do. I'm a mama, and I've got 2 kids, and I know that kids want their parents' undivided attention. And when they don't get it, they look to negative attention, and they do crazy things just because negative attention is still attention. You can say what you want to say about Lavar Ball and whether he's outrageous and putting stress on his kids. at the end of the day, his kids know beyond a shadow of a doubt that their dad has their back.
100%.
He supports them. He will be there. He believes in them. And that, to me, far outweighs anything else.
You know
guys-
what you saying right there? It really it makes me think about him coming back on First Take, and he came on with Lonzo, and I was expecting him to be real humble, real downtrodden, and he was like, "Nah, man." He said, "I just love watching my kids." He said, "This is a learning experience."
Right,
He
right.
said, "No." He said, "I still believe in my boys." He said, Michael Jordan didn't start out being Michael Jordan.
Nope.
He had to grow into being Michael Jordan. He said, Steph Curry didn't start out being Steph Curry.
And if you
He
don't
said,
believe in your kids, they
right,
know it.
That's beautiful.
But if
man.
your daddy
LeVar,
believes-
keep doing your thing.
Well, let me
man.
ask you something. Do you think that the media castigates or maligns
Absolutely.
in any way black fathers who assert themselves into
Absolutely.
their children's
Absolutely.
sports careers?
I mean, think about it. Let's look at Archie Manning. He did a lot of the same thing. I mean, he basically orchestrated the whole situation with Eli, and not once. And he was
No, he was
injected himself.
positioned as a
He was
great
positioned as
father,
as a great father and doing what a father's supposed
Most
to
of
do.
not
these-
an overbearing
Right,
father,
but
one-
most of these athletes don't have daddies in the house. So if you've got colleges coming to look at
I
an
think-
athlete
I think
and the
most is a
daddy's not
stretch
there,
there.
that makes the coach the father figure, and it's easy to
That's
push
true.
over mama
That's
if
true.
you're saying, "Look, the end game is we're going to
And
get your
I
kid
understand
paid."
that really came into came to bear with Kellen Winslow
Yeah.
in terms of his son.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. They said that agents and recruiters and whatnot tiptoed in there, and because he was such a powerful force, and they're not used to that.
And he
with
knows
black
the
players.
system.
Right.
They're not used to that. They're used to coming
there's a rumor
to a
that
black player's
Calipari-
house and being the man.
There's
Yeah.
a rumor that Calipari doesn't like
Yep.
to deal with
No,
that.
because he
Now,
wants
that's-
to be the
that's-
number one
hey.
dude.
Now that's
Can you
that's-
argue with that?
No, well, I can't argue with it because I don't know.
Yeah.
But I have heard that there
That's
are
not
certain
so
coaches-
far-fetched.
There's certain
That's
coaches
not a stretch.
who
No, not at
who
all.
want to deal with single parent households
Yep.
because they're viewed as the final word because they're the man in
It's
the family.
easy. It's easy to push over a mama in a bad situation.
Richard Williams, Earl Woods, people that have really, really been. I mean, Del Curry to a less degree. I mean, I
think Dale has been very active, but he's
been very
active.
Quieter.
been very low key in terms of the media.
Right.
But anyway, so much other stuff to talk about.
Russell Westbrook.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Russell Westbrook, the
also
MVP
also
of the
has a
league.
very involved daddy, by the way.
I mean, the MVP of the league. Now, I'm not saying that James Harden is not an MVP as well.
I think he gets most
But
improved.
to me, what Russell Westbrook is doing is absolutely amazing, man. And to play at that level of energy every
Sustained
single
level.
game. I've never seen that in my life.
No.
I've never seen that in my life. I mean, I got to see the tail end of Oscar Robertson. I got to see when they won the championship. He won the championship with Lou Alcindor. But back as a kid, I didn't really know exactly
Right.
what I was watching.
Right.
But to now
It's
have an
history making.
understanding of what it takes to play at this level, and then to do it every
Over and
single
over.
game, back-to-back games. This whole rest thing, they wouldn't win if Russell wasn't there. They
And Russell
wouldn't
won't
win.
rest. Russell won't rest.
I think we are about to see in this MVP competition whether or not popularity overwhelms, or trumps, excuse the reference, stats.
Well, I mean, both of them got very comparable stats. Now, I mean, when you talk about the thing is with
they got good. Both of them have great stats, but comparable. Russell's stats are better.
No, well, the only difference between is
It's a
James
triple-double.
Harden's only averaging 8 assists a game, And that's the only difference. I mean, he's leading scorer in the league. James Harden. And then as far as he's averaging like 13, 12 to 13.
Yeah, but you're also talking about a guy who had more points and free throws than he did in actual.
I'm serious. Their stats are very comparable, Howard.
Okay.
I'm actually going to pull them up. I'm going to pull up.
I think the only difference is the beard.
Yeah, we're going to see the difference in that. Jim Harbaugh, John.
No, we got to talk about this Raiders. We
got
to talk about the Raiders.
Okay.
Man. I'm a Raiders
Your
fan.
Raiders.
My Raiders.
They go into the desert.
I'm hurt.
The team formerly known as the Oakland Raiders.
I can't
now,
wrap my head
the
around
Las Vegas Raiders.
Las Vegas. I just can't. And I don't know what it takes. I don't know what it would have taken for
a new stadium.
Them to stay or the commitment from the city. But man, I mean, that's a brand. The Oakland Raiders are a brand on line with the Dallas Cowboys, Washington Redskins. I mean, it's
it's a cultural identity for that area.
But you didn't have subject verb agreement in that.
Okay.
I get him.
You said the Oakland Raiders are. No, baby. The Oakland Raiders were.
Oh.
They were. That's proper subject verb agreement.
Yeah. Well, we got 2 years.
I mean,
we got 2 years, and we're going to hope that there's some divine intervention. There's some divine intervention that's going to come down and make this relationship.
Somebody's going to have to call Ice Cube.
Good Lord, got bigger
Snoop.
fish to fry.
Now, you were going to talk about Colin Kaepernick.
I was going to talk about John Harbaugh and Colin Kaepernick. The statement was by Harbaugh that Kaepernick absolutely is going to get signed. So what does it say if Kaepernick doesn't get signed? That's a hypothetical, and we don't know how this story will play out. But it is what he called intellectually lazy to say that he is being blackballed.
But the only thing I
want to know, how long has John Harbaugh been black?
Well, that's the problem. we have these paternalistic white guys that feel like they can comment on what it is to be black and what it is to.
Colin Kaepernick is blackballed by virtue of the fact that he's black.
Right.
Beyond that, nothing else is happening.
Beyond that is the fact that you got people that are willing to bring in Johnny Manziel for a conversation, Jay Cutler for a conversation,
right. Tony Romo.
Tony Romo, who's been perennially hurt, for a conversation, and you have not one entity, one team that has had a discussion with Colin Kaepernick.
Yep.
As successful as he's been at 29 years old,
right.
You have not
and
one
can still
team,
play and doesn't have the injury list.
Team that has been willing to talk.
Now
to
let's
him.
fast forward. Let's fast forward. Do you guys think he will go unsigned?
Yes,
I do. I think he'll go unsigned.
Wow.
I don't think he's.
That's how much confidence y'all got in this.
Yeah. I'm teetering. I'm teetering on being done with the NFL.
It's not.
Man.
It's
with
not
the combination of my Raiders situation, and then
it's not
Colin Kaepernick.
Confidence. It's knowing the historic systemic racism in place of those that are in charge of the NFL and how that works.
Wow. Woo, and with that,
and I got a dance video for you, so to teach you how to dance, Jim.
Somebody's gonna have to help me. I also need some wearable.
I want you to be celebrating the wrong way.
Wearable. You gonna add?
We're gonna have to stack me somewhere.
Add a booty.
I do.
With that, we can
add a boyfriend.
We're gonna move on to ICONversation. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
Allan Houston.
ICONversation on R&R.
Yo, this your boy Chris Brown.
David West of the Golden State Warriors. Hey, this is Dr. J.
This is Shaq Adocious.
Yo, what's up? This is Ice Cube.
This is Nicki Minaj.
And you're listening to a little R&R on sports.
And here we are with ICONversation. And once again, we've got the best.
The best.
I feel like singing the Welcome Back Carter song.
Come on, go ahead and hit it.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out.
Check him out, y'all. Check him out, America.
We want to welcome back to R&R on Sports the assistant general manager of the New York Knicks and former all-star, all-NBA shooting guard.
Olympian.
You know, I just found
Olympian.
that out.
Olympian, bruh.
We're talking about Allan Houston. Allan, welcome back to R&R on Sports.
Man, I was starting to bob my head a little bit. Maybe a little beat or something. Great to be back here.
Good, man. So he's in Tennessee. He's in studio, y'all.
Memphis, baby.
Yeah, he's in studio.
Mayberry.
Mayberry. Don't be dissing Memphis, man.
Hey, man, that's my home.
We got the Sweet 16 here.
This is my home. That's right. That's right. And everybody in this mother is here.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy yesterday. He sold 5 Holiday Inn Select rooms for $400 a piece.
Wow.
He was on his way back home. Obviously, his team did not win.
He was real tickled. Real tickled.
What's up, Allan?
Man, it's good, man. It was good. It's good to
H2O?
be back in Memphis, man. I love coming back to Memphis.
You had some times here, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like at when you were at UT.
Yeah.
You and Penny Hardaway used to battle it out here, right?
Well, it was my first game in the former Pyramid.
That's right.
Now the Bass Pro Shop.
The Tomb of Doom. Yeah, now bait shop, a big bait, pointy head bait shop.
Larry picked me up from the airport, and I'm like, the Pyramid. He said, well, not anymore.
Not exactly, not anymore.
But, I remember that first game. My father just got the job, and it was my first real game playing for him as a freshman and coming into the Pyramid. And even before the season started, so many of your friends and on campus were from Memphis.
Yeah.
And so it was a big, showcase. And, playing in the Pyramid and having those battles against Penny. And, it was just, I remember that. I remember those heavy uniforms we had, short shorts. I mean, it was different than these things they got going on.
That's right.
Yeah, you wasn't having no baggy and sagging. Wasn't no bagging and sagging back then, bro. It was
high top fade,
booty hugging.
Speaking of those days, I like whenever we have a former NBA player on like yourself, I love to go back to see who was in the draft class. When you came out, and for you it was what, 93? 93.
Yeah.
And one or two cats that people may have heard of were in that class, including Penny Hardaway.
Yep.
Chris Webber was number 1.
Yeah.
Number 1 draft.
Calvert Chaney.
Yeah. Ben Baker.
What you call it?
Rodney
they played
Rogers.
with you. They played with you with the Knicks. No, Detroit. Played with you with
Lindsey.
Detroit.
Lindsey
Hunter.
From Jackson State University.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So he was
Ryder.
killing it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty good class. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
How was it in Detroit? And we've never asked you this. How was it in Detroit with the Pistons, and particularly playing with Lindsey Hunter?
Well, we got
and
drafted.
The other guys.
Yeah.
Y'all were like the 10th, 11th pick.
We were the 10th and 11th pick. Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas were still there.
Okay.
Vale Lambeer was still there. They were just coming off of that kind of bad boy persona, identity.
Oh, they weren't coming off of it.
Yeah, well,
they still had it.
I would just say the success of they had with it. Right? So they still had, yeah. But, the draft was in Detroit, which was kind of cool because me and Lindsey and I were both drafted 10 and 11. Lindsey got picked 10. And right after that, they called my name, and I'm like, man, I hope I don't get booed in the Palace. But it was great.
Okay.
I remember my grandparents, everybody was there, and, met my wife, in Detroit.
Really?
Yeah.
She's a Detroit native?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Man, she was a backup singer for I'll Be Sure, right?
Well,
Is he trying to be funny?
She moved to New York. She was a sophomore at Michigan State and did some singing and modeling, and she's so humble that she rarely lets it out around the house, and I've been dying to just say, look, let's just go sneak in the studio one day and just let you go.
So how long was it before you knew she could really sing? I mean, did she come with that up front? I mean, in the interest of full disclosure, I'm a singer.
No, it was really her parents that would her father would kind of brag and about her, and as if to say, look, man, you're not the only star now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, this is R&R on Sports, and we're with former All-Star Allan H2O Houston.
So that's very, very interesting. Now, 3 seasons for you with the Pistons, and then you go to NYC, New York City, one of the most storied NBA franchises of all time, the absolute greatest and biggest media market of all time. 1993?
Yeah, well then.
Oh, no, 90s.
Yeah, 96.
6. Okay.
Yeah, it was my last year, yeah.
What was that like?
Going from Detroit to the Big Apple.
I'm telling you. Were you married yet?
Yes. Well, actually, that's part of the journey is I literally got married a month after I signed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was you're a free agent. Yeah, I thought that
she ain't gonna have you up there losing your mind in New York.
Yeah, she didn't stay back to Detroit too long when I took that first training visit after I signed. But
too much can happen.
Yeah, no. I thought that year Steve Smith and Reggie Miller were free agents, so we were all like the free agent two guards that year, and some other guys. And I thought that Reggie was going to go to New York, Steve was going to be in the mix, and I was going to say, well, if Reggie goes to New York, then Indiana will maybe want me, and then I could kind of use that as leverage and stay in Detroit. Never wanted to leave Detroit, and it was it was a big thing about me leaving, and because I think because of my personality, I wasn't a boisterous and a super energetic, hyper type personality. I think a lot of people thought that there's no way he'd go to New York. There's no way he would.
Yeah, that kind of shocked us in Louisville. That's for sure.
Yeah,
they
really did.
They weren't necessarily aligning you and Clyde Frazier in terms of interest and.
Yeah. Well, when he got there, they took him to Clyde's tailor. Okay, got him some fresh outfits, a chocolate brown leather coat with the fur.
That's right.
Listen, if you go to this place called Jack's Place in Detroit. When people wearing the Gators.
Gators, baby.
Yeah. So that was mild, But yeah, no, I just, obviously the money and the interest and their giving me a vision of what I was going to be in Madison Square Garden was huge. I didn't know until 2 or 3 weeks before I signed that he really had that type of interest.
Wow.
So it was a different, free agency experience. Then I went up to New York, and obviously they really made me. Obviously, it was a great recruiting trip, for me.
Right.
Matter of fact, Ed Tapscott, who was the assistant general manager, and Ernie Grunfeld, who was a former Vol,
I
throw that out there, was the GM.
Bernie and Ernie.
And Ed Tapscott told Ernie that he said, "Look, this kid has never really truly been recruited. He went to Louisville." He was recruiting people with his dad, to come to Louisville.
Right.
So he's never really had this experience. So they wanted to make me understand that I was really part of the future. And Patrick, getting to talk to him, getting to ride around and talk to at the time who was the chairman of the Garden. It just, to me, that was important. And then ultimately, I had to believe and trust that this new challenge was going to serve me well or going to work, and I was going to be a part of, something, that we'd have a chance to really fill in a gap that they may have thought they had.
Wow.
Now, we're going to come back and we're going to talk some about money. Because when you started out, did a little homework. When you started out, what? It was less than $1 million, right?
Yeah.
Like 700,
My first year was
like that.
700.
$700,000. Yeah. Is that what's the minimum now?
Well, for a rookie,
and you were the number 11 pick.
You were a lottery pick, yeah.
Wow. It's a sliding scale. I mean, so it kind of depends, where you're drafted. But these guys could be making $4 million.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? 18, 19
that's
years
what
old?
And we're gonna come back and talk about that. We got to talk about that in our next segment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Allan Houston on the other side of this.
He's in a lot, 'cause we got him on the spot. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
This is Allan Houston, and this is my Fizzle moment. The second fundamental of Fizzle is integrity. Integrity is maintaining a high standard of moral behavior and quality of excellence. My grandfather would always say, Allan, you know right from wrong. And as a coach, as a teacher, even as a parent and a leader, he would always instruct, just do the right thing or play the right way. That is the essence of integrity.
Rolling down the street with my radio on, listen to Funky Politics.
The mayor of the city of Memphis, Mayor Jim Strickland. How are you, sir?
Fantastic.
We keep it real, we keep it right, and we keep it funky.
Funky Politics, part of the Katsukian Network.
Hey, this is Dr. J.
Hi, this is Rika Ketchum.
This is John Hollinger, Vice President of Basketball Operations for the Memphis Grizzlies.
Tim Brown, NFL Hall of Fame inductee. You are listening to R&R on Sports.
Back at you on R&R on Sports.
Back.
I don't know what to do after that.
Man, that's your boy over there. I don't know if he ever exemplified it to you, but he has this need to sing high. This AKA Prince, Michael Jackson,
What's
anybody. He's got this falsetto fetish, and he wants to sing. Did you ever see that before when you were working with him?
It's all about he wants to challenge himself. He wants to say, you say I can't do nothing, I'm gonna do it. And I think he always had this thing in his head, like, and it's
talk to him,
I
brother.
admire it, but sometimes
Talk to him now.
a reality
This is your
check.
friend here.
Talk
This
to
is
him, man.
truly your friend.
Talk to him, man.
Sometimes it's like
Help
a
this
real-
old man out. Help him understand. You know what this brother gave me for my 50th birthday, Al?
Oh, man, don't tell everything.
The brother gave
we
me.
got to go on with the show.
Brother gave me some Depends, man, and some pitted prunes, man.
It wasn't
I will
all.
never.
It
I will
was a
never,
packet.
We will
It was
never
a
be
packet.
cool again. I just want you to know.
He had some 50-plus vitamins.
I hope he signed it because look, one day your grandkids will be like, what is this? Got to sign it so they can say, oh, I know what that was.
But anyway, before we went to break, we were talking about money. We were talking about income. When you started with the Pistons, you were roughly 22, let's say, and you started out making like $700,000. Yeah. Then 4 years later, you go to the Knicks, and I believe you started out making about $5 million.
The contract was like
the contract was it was an average of 8 a year.
Oh,
so I
wow.
go from 7 to 9 to 1.1.
You would, yeah.
Then that free agent year, I thought I was gonna be getting like 4 or 5 a year in my first year, but ended up the Knicks came out, offered an average of 8 per year.
Okay.
Right, for 7 years.
8 as in million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, hold on for a second, because I got an interesting thing I want to say right about that. You decided not to actually have an agent per se. You actually just had a legal relationship.
Well, I had one at that time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
at that time I did.
Because I noticed like Ray Allen contracted a lawyer to help him through negotiations, but the agent piece wasn't there because he believed that salaries were capped.
At his point, the agents do serve a lot of, professional services and relationship and just things that you don't want to deal with as a player. But I think at that point, Ray didn't need all those services. He had the relationship that he could say, I just want to get my, negotiate this contract right.
Yeah.
So suffice it to say, you are making this kind of money in New York at a very, very young age. Mm-hmm. How do you keep your head?
Yeah. How do you keep your head? Hold on, before you answer, this is R&R on Sports, and we're speaking with former New York Knick, Allan Houston.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
No, I think a lot of it really came back to why they invested in me, right? And I think a lot that came back to their understanding where I came from, my family, and just the background, and that I was really it wasn't the money that drove me. It really wasn't. To me, what drove me was being the absolute best you can be. Mm-hmm. Being the absolute best you were created to be. Whatever tools that I was given physically, I wanted to maximize them. And I remember doing an interview my rookie year, and they were like, "Well, what do you want to? What are your goals?" I said, "Well, I want to be the best shooting guard in the NBA." This is when Michael and everybody was playing. I'm like, in my mind, why are you here if that's not your goal, to be the absolute best that you can be? And they looked at me, I'm 4 years out of college, and like, what do you mean? You playing behind Joe Dumars? What are you talking about? They didn't say that. But so the money, I felt like if I took care of that piece, then now you'll get your playing time. Now you might start. Now you might make an all-star team. Then, so to me, it wasn't about, what type of contract you can get. Now, as a person and as a player, you want to feel valued.
Right. Now, hold on. Before you get into the value piece, I want to know, you talk about how your legacy seemingly is created is what it ultimately rolls up to. Yeah. But what do you feel about these players today who are really alienating the fans, or the teams are alienating the fans because they're resting, players or marquee players at these big games? Like a couple weeks ago, we had the Golden State Warriors rested, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Clay. Then you come back a couple weeks later and you had San Antonio rest Kawhi Leonard. Then you come back and you have the Cleveland Cavaliers rest.
When they were here in Memphis. Yeah. Well, and your situation, you were taking your boys. You were about to take your boys to the FedEx Forum.
Right.
To
it was
see
about $400 in tickets.
LeBron and Kyrie and company, and all of them were rested.
Right. Every last one of them.
Look, it's a cultural trend in our game that human nature we follow typically, right? So I think we're our experience and our information kind of forms our perspective. So their perspective right now is based on what's happening, the information they're getting from how much load, time, how much.
Define load?
Load is like the amount of force and volume you're putting on your body. And there's scientific measurements that every team has. They have chips, they have heart rate monitors, they're measuring explosiveness, they're measuring your miles you're running.
Wow.
So all this
like robots.
So if you get all this information and you say and if a doctor shows you all the information that a cigarette is doing to your lungs,
right,
well, you're going to act, and your perspective is going to be accordingly.
Right.
And that's where the coaches are coming from. That's where the data.
So it's back to analytics.
Performance.
It's back to analytics in a way.
I mean, analytics can be applied in anything, really. You think about it,
right?
So now as a player, in your head, you're like, okay, this is what's happening to my body. This is what's gonna. And then as a coach and as people, nobody's talking about the performance team. There are scientific performance teams on all these organizations have,
right,
that are giving us information. Most of the work that your performance teams is preventative work.
Oh, so no one's really talking about that. I have an actual team that's monitoring player health.
That's why Steve Mills isn't doing that. Jeff Hornacek isn't tracking the data, or measure or supplying the data. They're watching it.
How much of that is is because the Knicks are now investing so much money, or any NBA team are investing so much money in these players that they want them to have a longer career or at least fulfill those contracts.
That's it. I mean, you know, think about it. You're investing a lot of money, and you want to prevent further damage or injury. You know.
Now, how much of that is going to them playing in the championship or positioning yourself to play better in the playoffs and things like that? Is that a big portion of it as well?
It can be. I think a lot of it just is according to, you know, your methodology, your philosophy, you know, and your staff, you know. And so, look, it's interesting. I was reading an article that talked about Michael's, you know, Jordan's numbers and how he only missed. He went, I think, 6 or 7 seasons, didn't miss a game. He went 4 or 5, only missed 5 games. And
they played 82. They played 82 games scheduled in, too, right?
Right.
Yeah, that hadn't changed.
And the reality is then teams practiced and scrimmaged hard. Like practices were harder. And here's what I would say to this whole thing. You know, I'm not going to make a judgment on what teams are doing, but I know that, you know, I think I might have missed maybe 11 or so games up into my last few years. I only missed 10 or 11 games for like maybe 5 or 7 years. And
now, could that be a cause for your career being truncated a little shorter than
maybe? But there were several other players that did the same thing.
Oh, okay.
You know, so I wouldn't put that on my career. I mean, I had issues when I was 16, 17, 15 years old. So I tend to think of, you know, my mechanics and biomechanics were kind of set early. But the reality is you're talking about a measurement. To me, this comes down to a measurement of the human spirit. That's what it comes down to. You got guys who Stockton, you know, you had guys who played and practiced. We would practice, you know, for an hour or two, and that would be it. But that was just the way it was, you know. So I think we have just a different approach according to different measures.
And talk about, and the time we have remaining, talk about the value proposition and work ethic. Is it there? Is it there now with the players that we see, that value proposition and work ethic?
You know, guys work. I mean, you got to think of how guys come into the game now. They're playing a lot of travel games. They're playing a lot of games against. They're just playing games more than they're actually practicing and learning the value of work, the value of defensive drills for 30 minutes, 30, 45 minutes, straight defensive drills where you're learning the technique and the application of those intense drills that translate to energy, hard work, boxing out, covering down, drawing charges. Those are the things that players at a younger age aren't getting as much because they're playing a lot of travel basketball tournaments, and the coaches are just saying, we need you to play. Just get up and down and play. So when you get to a college, that's when that might have been one of the first times you really kind of understand the value of that real work, the details that you need that translate to winning basketball.
Do you see a lot different from players today? You know, because a lot of times the older guys, of course, being an older guy, we always say the young guys are softer. They're soft.
It's, to me, soft is we gotta define it and categorize it. I think you know, if you have a 15-year-old player who hits a shot and it made Sports Center, and now you have 9 million followers based on that one play, you got to think their perspective is that, shoot, I'm successful. Right? So how am I going to tell you that doesn't mean anything? Right, but in that world, that means everything.
Right, followers.
Right. So we're saying no, that doesn't mean anything because you made this shot. What means something is, you know, did you miss your blockout assignment 2 plays ahead? Did you pass ahead? Did you look to that play? You know, those little things are going to help you when you get to, you know, University of Tennessee or another, plug. But those are the things that are going to help you grow and essentially be a successful player down the line, not just that one play. So I don't know if I call them soft because I think we just have to help them understand the value of the little things as opposed to that one play where everybody was going crazy.
And I mean it's a whole different situation now, but particularly when you say followers.
So listen, man, we're gonna have to bring Allan back. We're gonna have to bring Allan back. Time done ran out, folks. We sorry, time has run out. But we got this good brother. We got his cell number, so we're gonna call him and we're gonna just finish up our conversation. Or the next time he in Memphis,
all right,
we're gonna talk a little bit more.
Okay,
all right.
Sounds like a bet to me. Will you do it?
Do it.
Will you do it? Will you do it? All right. We've been very pleased to have back with us Allan Houston on R&R on Sports, and we appreciate you being here. And please come back soon, and we'll be back right after this.
I'm in love with your body. I'm in love with your body.
You are listening to R&R on Sports. Remember to subscribe and rate our podcast. You can go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Kazookian, or any of your favorite podcast providers.
And it's time for us to head toward the door.
Sayonara.
Wasn't that quick? That's all y'all got to say.
We're ready to go.
Parting words, parting shots, Larry.
The Golden State Warriors, man. When Kevin Durant went down, you guys picked it up on the defensive end. Klay Thompson is shooting the lights out.
Yeah,
so
he is.
I got to give a big ups to them and the leadership. Steve Kerr, great job. You are a phenomenal coach, and for all you guys are doing, shout out to the Golden State Warriors.
Cupcakes for everybody.
JC.
I'm going to go with the Black Mamba. I'm going to go with Kobe Bryant.
The Muse Cage.
Woo, the Muse Cage. and what he's doing post-basketball. Most people don't transition well.
You're my dark musing.
Y'all both
I'm
my
happy
dark.
to be your dark musing.
Y'all both my dark musing. I'm the light in this show.
I'm happy. You're the lightest one.
You gotta give me something.
Correct her. Get her
I'm
right.
Token
Be
whiteness.
precise. There's light and there's lightest.
I'm the
You
token
would be
lightest. Token lightest.
I just want to say to Colin Kaepernick, look, young brother, keep your head to the sky. Don't worry about this.
Achievement.
It will, absolutely. It will work itself out. You did the right thing.
Absolutely.
Don't second guess any of that. Keep doing the right thing. Be strong and hang tough. Let's see what happens. So with that,
cheers to the freaking weekend.
It's time to go. You got your coat?
You
got your stuff?
I got everything.
Got your bag?
I got my shearling, man.
Right.
I'm wearing a shearling. I'm trying to lose weight.
You think that's gonna do
You
it?
almost made me say bad
sweat.
words.
I'm a sweat.
You're gonna work up
it's
a
hot.
sweat.
It's like about 80 degrees outside.
Ain't that
and
much
I put that
sweating in the
shearling
world.
on. I put that lamb wool on.
I mean, we could just get you
it's
some
called
trash
the shearling
bags.
diet. It's the shearling diet.
Listen, y'all,
That's
take
what they
care.
said.
Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we will see you here next week. Same time, same place. 10 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern.
Don't forget to
rate and subscribe.
R&R on Sports out.
Peace.
R&R on Sports is recorded live at LPI Studios in the heart of Memphis, Tennessee. Web designer Daniel Coates, executive producer Larry Robinson, written by Howard Robertson, and produced by Reggie Fine. R&R on Sports, part of the Kazookian Network.